समग्रं
यदा ज्ञास्यसि तच्छृणु
दास्यसि दर्शनो श्रीभगवानुवाच
मया
मया सक्तमना पार्थ योगं युञ्जन्मदाश्रयः असंशयं समग्रं मां यदा ज्ञास्यसि दर्शनो श्रीभगवानुवाच
श्रीभगवानुवाच
मय्यासक्तमना पार्थ
मयासक्तमनः पार्थ
योगं युञ्जन्मदाश्रयः
योगं युञ्जन्मदाश्रयः
असंशयं समग्रं माम्
असंशयं समग्रं माम्
यथा ज्ञास्यसि तच्छृणु
यदा ज्ञास्यसि तच्छृणु प्रभु நீங்க சொல்றீங்களா கோபாலகிருஷ்ண பிரபு
Hare Krishna. Sri Bhagavan Vacha.
Power off.
Sri Bhagavan Vacha. Maya Sakta
Power on.
Mana Partha. Yogam Yujjanmatasrayaha. Asamsayam Samakramam. Yada Jnashyasi Dasruno.
ஓகே
Hare Krishna.
Enter off. Enter off in playing.
okay so let us see the translation here translation and purport word to word meaning everything is given by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, founder Acharya of International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Let us go with word to word translation. Sri Bhagavan Vacha,
श्रीभगवानुवाच
the Supreme Lord said,
The Supreme Lord said,
Mayi,
Mayi,
to me, Asakta Manaha,
आसक्तमनाः
mind attached,
mind attached,
Partha,
Parth,
O son of Pritha,
O son of Pritha,
Yogam,
Yogam,
self-realization,
self-realization,
Yunjan,
Yunjan,
practicing,
practicing,
Mad Ashrayah,
Mad Ashrayah,
in consciousness of me,
in consciousness of me,
Krishna consciousness,
Krishna consciousness,
Asamshayam,
Asamshayam,
without doubt,
without doubt,
Samagram,
Samagram,
completely,
completely,
Mam,
Mam,
me,
me,
Yata,
Yata,
how,
how,
Jnasyashi,
Yasyasi,
you can know,
you can know,
Tat,
Tat,
that,
that,
Shrunu,
Shunu,
try to hear.
try to hear.
So, translation, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, now hear, O son of Pritha, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt. Okay. So we will actually read purport, the first two. Okay. The first two paragraphs you can both read, okay, among yourself. And then the third onwards, we will see the PPT. Okay. So any one of you can start.
In the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the nature of Krishna consciousness is fully described. Krishna is full in all opulences, and how he manifests such opulences is described herein. Also, 4 kinds of fortunate people who become attached to Krishna, and 4 kinds of unfortunate people who never take to Krishna are described in this chapter. In the first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, the living entities has been described as non-material spirit soul, capable of elevating himself to self-realization by different types of yogas. At the end of 6th chapter, it has been clearly stated that the steady concentration of the mind upon Krishna, or in other words, Krishna consciousness, is the highest form of all yoga. By concentrating one's mind upon Krishna, one is able to know the absolute truth completely, but not otherwise.
Okay. Harivasan token.
Full and scientific knowledge is Krishna, and everything civil to the person in Krishna consciousness. In complete Krishna consciousness, one knows that Krishna's ultimate knowledge beyond any doubts. Different types of love, only specifically somewhere for the Krishna consciousness. One more thing, CRP with Krishna consciousness, not only knowing about Namni Buddhi or Paramati in full. By practice of Krishna consciousness yoga, one can know everything in full. Maybe the absolute truth. Living with this immediate nature of the mind is required.
Hare Krishna. So what here Prabhupada actually is giving us, he is letting us know what is going to come in this chapter. Okay, it is a brief summary of what is going to be discussed in this chapter by Krishna. Okay, I hope in this chapter Krishna himself starts this conversation.
Yeah.
And he starts and he ends it actually without any question from Arjun. So this is an important chapter, as in why? Because as we know, right, for the 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, if we can roughly group together, we can group 6 chapters together. Okay, the first 6 chapters can be put together as mostly discussing about Karma Yoga. The last 6 chapters being discussing only about Jnana mostly, and the middle one being where Bhakti Yoga is being discussed elaborately. So, how Acharyas explain this Bhakti Yoga of 7 to 12 is that it is kept as a gem in between 2 boxes actually, because it is very precious and it should be protected like that. So that is why 7 to 12 is actually um, kept as a gem, and it is very precious. Okay, so that is why this is very important. And in ISKCON's context, Prabhupada's context, this sloka is very much important. Any idea on why? 7.1.
Loka.
This specific sloka is very important.
Akshram.
No.
Without
Okay, probably then we have to read, we have to hear more of Prabhupada lectures. Why? Because Prabhupada has actually spoken more on this one sloka. He has spoken 23 times on this. He has given lecture on this particular sloka 23 times. If you can actually search. Why? Because Prabhupada gives importance to hearing. The crux of this sloka is Shravana. So that is what we are going to discuss based on the purport from Prabhupada. That is what we are going to do. We are just going to use Prabhupada's purport, and then we are going to take examples from first sloka of Bhagavatam and first and second sloka of 9th chapter. That's all we are going to, what we are going to do is. So what is, if you have anybody has the purport, you can keep it with you so that we can actually see. I will also take up. We can read along and then we can see what Prabhupada is coming to explain us in this, and how important is reading, I mean hearing. In 7.1 purport, that too from the 3rd paragraph in English. Okay. So what does he say here? One should therefore begin yoga practice as directed in the last verse of the 6th chapter. Okay. So what should we do now? Actually, we have to go back to 6th chapter last sloka. What is 6th chapter last sloka? Last sloka of 6th chapter. First, what is 6th chapter?
Yoga.
Dhyana yoga. Then what it should be?
Yeah,
What does
all the yogis, bhakti yogis.
Correct. So what does the, how does this sloka? Yoginam api sarvesham adhyatena antaratmana shadavan bhajate yomam. So what does it say is yoga? So this is how people consider this, right? Yoga is something like wherein you sit together and then do some kind of breathing exercise, or you close your eyes and do some kind of meditation, correct? That is what generally people conceive yoga to be. So, but what does Prabhupada here says is the next line is very important. He says, concentration of the mind upon Krishna, the Supreme, is made possible by, he already told that yoga is one part of it. Dhyana yoga is one thing, wherein we can concentrate on Paramatma. But here, actual Krishna, we can concentrate. How we can concentrate? Concentration is required, right? Say, for example, if you are in a railway station and there is an announcement coming. Yesterday I heard Harivasan Prabhu telling that you are about to receive Guru Maharaj and you are supposed to be in A10 but you are in A1, right? So what is the problem there? The attention is not there, or probably the communication is not proper. Either way it should have been happened. So what happened is that basically missed out the concentration on where we should be on the right time. Why? Because we don't have the attention. So attention should be there, which actually leads us to concentration. That is why Prabhupada many a times say, sit properly, hear attentively. Many times he says, I mean, in the middle of the lecture also he says, sit properly, he says, hear attentively, he says. Why does he say that? Because he knows the importance of hearing. So that is the importance of hearing. So let us see on concentration part. So we can use, as I said, Dhyana Yoga as a part, but to concentrate on Krishna, we can use something else also, is what Prabhupada says here. What does he say? It is made possible by devotional service in 9 different ways. What we famously call this as Navaveda Bhakti, right? In Tamil or, this is basically Sanskrit. So we have taken that. So out of these 9, here Prabhupada says, there are 9 actually. So even out of 9, everything can be practiced. These are not levels, right? There are levels of bhakti. The levels of bhakti starts with Shraddha, correct, and ends with Prema. Those are also 9 actually, but those are levels actually. But in Navaveda Bhakti, these are kinds of devotion service. Shravanam is 1, Kirtanam is 1, Smaranam is 1. But first and foremost is what Prabhupada says. First and foremost is hearing, which is Shravanam, right? First and foremost is Shravanam. That is what Prabhupada says. So that is why Krishna says here, Tat Shrunu. Shrunu means hear. Okay. So basically Krishna says to hear. Next the question comes, what is actually when somebody says what to hear? Okay, what could be the other question? Whom should we hear? Exactly. That is where Prabhupada also taking us through this sloka. So he says, he here clearly says actually, no one can, the Lord therefore says to Arjuna, Tashrunu. There he actually says, hear from me. So Krishna already answered, hear from me. From whom? From Krishna. Okay, from Krishna we are going to hear. Then a question may come, right? Why Krishna? Basically, there could be many sources of truth. Why should I only go with Krishna? Then the question may come. If you are inquisitive enough, in this particular chapter only, there's 4 Sukritis come, right? If anybody can actually, no? Yeah. So what are those 4?
What type of bhakta?
Sukritis, what are those actually? Artha? Artha means? Artha
is like someone who is distressed.
Distressed actually. Then Artha means?
That means looking for some benefit.
Material benefit, wealth or something like that. Okay. Then Jignasu means? Inquisitive. And the last one is? Jnani is a jnani, who is a knowledge seeker, kind of, okay? So the third one is Jignashu. Acharyas here again refers actually. This could have been put up somewhere else also, but Jignashu is very important. That is why it is put up in between. Because Jignashu can go this way or that way. He can go for material benefits or something like that, or he can take the route of Jnani and then he can go to Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabha. So an inquisitive mind actually thinks about when we say why Krishna, the question should come, right? So we may probably be chanting 16 rounds and hearing proper lectures or reading books and all. But a general public, when we say you should hear from Krishna, what does he actually questions us? Why Krishna, right? So let us see why Krishna. Prabhupada says, there is no greater authority than him. Right? This seems to be dogmatic, right? You know, dogmatic is something like, or axiom. Axiom, you know. Okay. Here, what is the first letter in that one? In no, what is the first letter? N, right? Why is it N? Why it is N? Or what is this number? Why is it 1? That is called axiomatic truth actually. 1 is 1 because it is 1. There is nothing to support 1. But if we cannot go to the general public and say, Krishna is Krishna, he is greater authority, you have to accept it. Otherwise, like in Islam, they say, right, you accept Allah or otherwise your head will be in ground. We cannot say like that. Right? Claiming that the others may claim that we are a religion of peace and then they can preach something or practice something else. But we cannot say that. Because we are not terrorists, we are moderates. Okay. At least while preaching. During war only we can become terrorists. That is it is a state of emergency, then only we can take that route. Okay. So let us go. I will actually like to go to the next slide and then come back here. Okay. So there is a thing called greater authority. So not only, it is not told by Krishna himself. There are these many evidences saying that Krishna is the greater authority. Vyasadeva in Srimad Bhagavatam says Krishna is the greater authority. Jiva Goswami in Krishna Sandarbha says he is greater authority. And Brahma Samhita, what does he say? Ishvara Parama Krishna. Sarva Karana Karanam, he says, right? He is the cause of all causes. Okay. In Samaveda, an Upanishad says that if there is a God, then his name should be Krishna, who is the son of Vasudeva and Devaki. Okay. In Bhagavad Gita, he himself claims in this chapter only. That is he says. Mattah parataram nanyat kinchit asti dhananjaya. In 10th chapter also he says. What is it? 10.8. 10.8. These are like, what to say, the law books with, okay, let us say, what is IPC 302? Capital punishment. What is IPC 420? Fraud, right? Similarly, we should remember few slokas which are very, very important. Out of 108 also, these are very, very important. So 10.8 is Aham Sarvasya Prabhava Matta Sarvam Pravatati Iti Matva Bhajante Mam Bhuta Bhava Saman Vita. So what does he say there? I am the source of everything, both spiritual and material. So he goes on explaining in many places, but these are two things which Prabhupada also quotes many times, 7.7, 10.8. So Lord himself says in Bhagavad Gita. And then who actually, I mean, in Tamil we say, right, so like Lord Krishna says that in 10.8. What does Arjuna says in consecutive verses? In next few verses, Arjuna says something which Prabhupada quotes in introduction to Bhagavad Gita also. Parabrahma, Parandama, Pavitram, Paramam, Bhavam. Purusham, Shashvatam, Divyam, Adidevam, Ajam, Vibhum. He says, right? So what does he accept as Parabrahma? He accepts Arjuna. Okay. So now we may get a question. Okay, Krishna and Arjuna are how they are related? No, I'm saying related. First of all, Krishna's aunt's son is Arjuna. First, Vasudeva's sister's son is Krishna. Okay, for Arjuna. Then second relation is there actually, which is very closer. Subhadra's husband is Arjuna, which is brother-in-law, right? Already his brother-in-law, I mean, we call Machan. Yeah, that is how we call even if you are aunt's son. But he is actually brother-in-law by giving Subhadra in marriage to him. Okay. So we can actually say this is flattery. They have some relationship and they are actually flattering. But again, Arjuna goes on to say that this is not only me who is saying that Asito Narado Vyaso. It is not only told by you, it is not only accepted by me, it is confirmed by Asita, Devala, Vyasa, Narada, and so on and so on and so on. Swayam Chaiva Bravishime. And again says, you yourself is, you are again reconfirming this. So that is why we are actually going on. Again, this is also not whimsical. This is from 1.1.1, probably from second paragraph. Okay, purport, Prabhupada gives this. Okay, let me go back. Okay, so we understand, at least on face value, we can understand that there is no greater authority than Krishna, right? Okay. Again, a question may come. Okay, he could be greater authority. What is in it for me, right? That is what material life is. Everything we actually see our own selfishness, correct? Our benefit, self-interest is there. That is not wrong actually. But if it is very much self-centered, then it is wrong. As Prahlad Maharaj says, right, there should be self-interest, but we should know where our self-interest really is. Correct? What does he say? Nate viduhu swartha gatim hi Vishnu. He says, you don't know your self-interest also. Nate viduhu swartha. Swartha is something like self-interest or selfishness. Where is it? Actually, it is in Vishnu. Durashaya Bahirattamanena. So he goes on to explain how people are being led by blind people and all those things. Okay. So if you are self-centered or selfish, or if you are looking for something for you by hearing from Krishna, who is the greater authority, what does Prabhupada says here? You can become a perfectly Krishna conscious person by hearing from Krishna. So that is the benefit. Okay. Why from Krishna? First thing is that he is establishing the supremacy of Krishna. Second thing, the advantage while hearing from Krishna is that you can become a perfectly Krishna conscious person. Okay. Now the other question will come. Okay, Prabhuji, we are ready to hear from Krishna, but where is Krishna? Correct. Suddenly we are entering into an atheistic point of view, correct? Where is Krishna? So what should I do now? But practically, for any practical reasons, Krishna is there. He is there as a painting. He is there as a metal. He is there as a wood. He is there as a stone. In many forms, he is exhibiting himself. But do we have those senses to actually interact with Krishna? Previously, some 1,000 years before, they were able to interact with the Lords actually. Not even 1,000 years before. 500 years before also, we hear about Sakshi Gopal. That happened 500 years before. 1,000 years before, here in Kanchipura, there is a person, devotee called Kanchipurna. He was able to interact with Varadaraj Perumal. So we can actually interact with Krishna. He will speak actually. Do we have those senses to understand? No. So for all practical reasons and purposes, we can ask this question. Krishna is not here. What should I do next? Okay. That is a big question actually. So Prabhupada answers that also. Then where should we hear from? Pure devotee of Krishna. Very simple. Okay, pure devotee of Krishna. But many of us have a doubt, right? We actually compare devotion or for any other things, we compare everything with their amount of scholarship, right? How big a scholar is he? But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu directly rejects this. If you can go to Sloka 2.3, Bhagavad Gita, there in the purport, Prabhupada quotes from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, if I'm not wrong. It should be 2.3 only. No, it is not 2.3, it should be. No, it is related to who can be a guru. 2.7 it should be. 2.7, but no. Yeah, 2.8 actually. I'm wrong. 2.8. What does he say? There are two important slokas which defines a guru or a pure devotee. When we say pure devotee, you can read someone who has taken already. Kiba Vipra Kiba Nyasi. What does the translation go like?
If he is master in science of Krishna, he is definite in the master spiritual master.
That's all. The only qualification needed for a guru is that science of Krishna. He should be master in science of Krishna and he is perfect and bona fide spiritual master. Only thing is that the mastery of Krishna consciousness should be the qualification, nothing else. So then what is the next sloka? He says, Shatkarma Nipro. Can you read, Prabhu? Who is that? What is this? Deepesh.
Scholarly Brahmana respected knowledge like this are training knowledge. Sanskrit to become spiritual master. Without being a Vaishnava. I respect in the sense of Krishna consciousness. But a person born in the family of the Lord says, can become spiritual master if he is Vaishnava or Krishna consciousness.
That's all. In Padma Purana, this comes actually. What does it start with? Shatkarma Nipuno Vipra. Nipuna is something expert. Shatkarma is 6 karmas. You know, right? The six karmas. Patana Patana, Yajana Yajana, Dana Parigraha. These 6, even if he is expert in those 6 things, after this 6 things, Mantra, Tantra, Visharada. Visharada is again who is very expert or learned the ocean of it actually. Everything. He has seen the shore of everything. That is Visharada. Okay. But he says, what does he say? A Vaishnavo Guru Nashyat, Vaishnava Swapacho Guru. If he is not a Vaishnava, he should not be accepted as a Guru. Nashyat. Then who can be accepted as a Guru? Swapacho Guru. Do you know what is Swapacho? Many times it comes in Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam also. Swapacha. Swapacha. What is Swu actually? Swa. Dog eater. Swapacho is dog eater. You can accept even a dog eater as a guru if he is a Vaishnava. If he is coming from a low-born caste actually. But if he is expert in Krishna science, then he can be accepted as a guru. So that is what we should clearly hear. Why I am actually giving this much prelude to this thing is that Prabhupada says, not from a devotee upstart, puffed up with academic education. You should not hear from a non-devotee, is what he says. So we have a basic idea of where does it start? Yoga, right? It starts with yoga, and then we have come to a point to hear from whom? Hear from whom? Krishna. I don't have Krishna right now, then whom to hear from? A devotee, pure devotee of Krishna. Okay. Then again our question comes, right? Prabhupada explains. Okay. You can now come back to 7th chapter first. Okay. So let us go with the flow of the purport. The purport says this process is explained in Bhagavatam, correct? These slokas are very important. I would request or even humbly say that these are very important and you can actually memorize if possible. Shvanvatam Kathak Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Hridyantosti Habadrani Vidunodi Shuhrutsatam Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishti Tata Rajas Tamo Bhava Kamalobodayaschaye Chetetir Anavidyam Sthitam Satve Prasidati Evam Prasanna Manaso Bhagavad Bhakti Yogataha Bhagavad Tattva Vijnanam Mukta Sangasya Vidyate Hridaya Granti Chidyante Sarva Samshaya Krishyante Chashya Karmani Drishta Evat Manishware. So this is what we are going to discuss now. What Prabhupada says, we have to hear, okay, what to hear. We have known, from whom to hear, we have already come to a conclusion. What to hear? We can hear 2 things. Now, one is about him. About him is Vedas say about him, correct? They say so many things actually. Now, if you can actually go in, 2.42 or 43, they are together actually. Yes. Prabhupada gives explanation for them together, right? What I'm saying, trying to, nah, what I'm trying to say is, hearing from Vedas will be a problem again. Why? He says here, Krishna says here, Yaimam pushpitam vacham pravadanti avipashchita vedavadaratah partha nanyat astiti vadanaha kamatmana swarga parag janma karma phalapradam kriya vishesha bahulam bhogeshwarya gatim pradi. Can someone read the translation?
Men of small knowledge are very much attracted to the flowery words of the Vedas, which recommend various fruitive activities for elevation to heavenly planets, resultant good birth, power, and so forth. Being desirous of sense gratification and opulent life, they say that there is nothing more than this.
So, what does it, Krishna actually equates Vedas to flowery words, correct? Okay, I'm hearing Vedas. What is the result? He says, elevation to heavenly planets, good birth, power, and so forth. Okay, and the problem with this is that, okay, let us actually go to Vedas also, hear from that, practice that. What is the problem in that? We can go do everything, but the problem is, the last point is problem. Krishna says, they say that there is nothing more than this. That's all. It actually gives you a saturation level. This is enough, and we will stay here. That is the problem with Karma Kanda. Next, he says, next sloka. Bhogaishwarya prashakta nam taya pahrata chetasam devasayatmika buddhi samadau na vidiyate. He says, in the minds of those who are too attached to sense, enjoyment and material opulence, and who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination for devotional service to the Supreme Lord does not take place. So the problem is, you reach a saturation level wherein you cannot progress. Okay, at least we can actually do devotion from that level. No, because Bhogaishwarya prashaktanam taya pahrita chetasa. Your heart is actually carried away by Bhogaishwarya prasakta. And he even goes together actually. The next sloka, Krishna explains about the quality of Vedas. What does he say? Traigunya Vishaya Veda, Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna, Nidvandvo Nitya Sattvasto, Niryoga Kshema Atmavan. Harivashan Prabhu, read the translation. Right?
Vedas give many subject of three parts of the Vijaya material. So, Arjuna, from the transcendental to this three modes, we free from all duality, from all anxieties, and living and safety, and we establish the
Yeah, the problem is, after reading this sloka without reading the translation, I thought that Vedas itself is in Traigunya.
Yeah.
I was even arguing with Bhanu Maharaj actually. Vedas are in Traigunyam. He says it is Traigunya Vishaya Veda. Vedas explain about Traigunya, whatever it actually gives, right? Then it talks about three gunas only. Then what
Vedas are
to?
not affected in the
No, they are not in Traigunya because they are the direct words of Lord. How can they be in Traigunya? They are pure goodness actually. That is the problem. They are in Sattva. The problem is, there is honey in every flower, right? But who can extract the honey from that flower? We only can extract. We also can see honey, but we cannot extract it, right? The problem with Vedas is this only. There are so many things in Vedas which can be directly related to Bhakti, but we are not that much expert, correct? So what should we do? The next sloka explains this. Yavan arthodapane sarvata sampludodake tavan sarveshu vedeshu brahmanasya vijanata. What does it say? Translation.
all purpose served by a small well cannot once be served by a great receiver of water.
Yeah.
Similarly, all the purpose of Vedas can be served to one who knows the purpose behind them.
Yeah, exactly. So what does Krishna gives as a conclusion? If a person knows the reason behind Vedas, like if there is a reservoir of, he gives an example, analogy he gives. If you compare Vedas to be a well, you can only get something from that well. Actually, in villages, even in the entire India or somewhere, wherever you go to villages, there could be many wells. One could be a salty well. It can only be used for cattle farming, everything. The other could be a well which is used only for drinking water. The other could be a well wherein washing is alone is accepted. So there could be many wells actually. So for each purpose, what you have to do? You have to go to that specific well. But if there is a lake or reservoir, then in the same lake or reservoir, the final end point will be the place wherein village persons actually wash their feet and everything. And before that, they will wash the cloths. Before that, they will wash the cattle. Before that, they will wash the cloths. Before that, they will take the water for drinking. One reservoir gives the purpose of all the wells. So similarly, if a person knows reason behind the Vedas, then he knows everything. So that is what he says, Yavanartha Udapane. Okay, let us come back. So with Vedas, this is the problem. These many problems are there with Vedas. So then what should we do? We should hear from him again. From him is Bhagavad Gita, right? If you go to Gita Mahatmya, what does it say about Bhagavad Gita, comparing it to its lotus feet and mouth, right? It is Padmanabhasya Mukha Padmad. Correct? Bhagavad Gita is directly coming from his face. If you want to differentiate between, as a person, you differentiate between your mouth and your feet, right? You give more importance to your mouth, actually, in general. So from feet, Ganges is coming, Ganga is coming, but from his mouth, Bhagavad Gita is coming. Adi Shankara says this, Mukha Padma. You can refer to introduction, okay, when you have time. So that is not the only thing why we have to hear from him. He says, Punya Shravana Kirtana. It is a Punya. What type of Punya is that? It will give you Bhakti actually. It is not a material Punya. Okay. Okay. We'll hear from Krishna, religious activity, all good. But is there any additional advantage? Yes, he says. Krishna acts as your best wishing friend. How does he act actually? I mean, we may actually go and say, yeah, Krishna is my friend, we can say. But how does Krishna accept us? Or how does Krishna act as our best friend? Say, for example, materially, how friendship actually, the dealings with friends, right? Let us discuss about that so that we can understand how Krishna serves our best friend. When you go to some place and your best friend is not there, your thought will always be of him, right? Even in your words, in your activities, many places. Say, for example, my mother also. Not only my mother, many mothers have this problem. When they go to their son's house, they will be calling the names of their grandsons or granddaughters of daughters. When they go to daughter's house, they will do the same thing the other way around. They will call the names of grandsons or granddaughters of sons. The problem is that they are there, physically there, in son's house or daughter's house. But what they are thinking of is something else. Similarly, when you are actually engaged in hearing about Krishna, there is no difference between Krishna or the Shastra, correct? Every akshara, like in Mahaprabhu says, every akkar actually. In Bengali, that is how he says, right? In every letter, Krishna is present, is what he says. In Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, any authorized scripture, Vaishnava scripture you take, it is Krishna himself. That is why once our Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Bhakti Swami Maharaj went, it is somewhere near Punjab, I guess. You know, in Punjab, Sikhs are more, and they worship Gaur Gobind, right? Okay. And apart from that, they worship Granthas actually, books they worship. Yeah, in Amritsar actually, right? So on that day, fortunately, what happened is that they bought a set of Bhagavatam. And then before the program even commenced, they set up the Bhagavatam set nicely, and then they were performing Aarti for that Bhagavatam set. So these persons who came, the six, right, who came just to have a darshan of Maharaj, they sat there and heard the lecture and then came back to Maharaj and told that we were about to leave, but after seeing that you are worshipping Granthas, we were staying. So that is the importance of Granthas given. In many places, right, in scriptures are carried in palanquin. Scriptures are carrying on head actually. In Kerala or somewhere, you go, they carry scriptures on top of their head actually. They are very, they treat very spiritually that we don't actually. I mean, probably it is better being an early comer to ISKCON rather than being an expert. After coming to ISKCON, chalta hai, we say, right? It is okay, Prabhu. I mean, doing this is okay. Doing that is okay. But the value which should be given to Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam should be given. The point is, if you think that every Akshara is Krishna, then Krishna acts as your best friend. Okay. Then what is the next benefit? We know, right? Krishna and his Nama. Krishna, as I said, right? Krishna and his name is non-different. Abhinatvam Nama Namin. Padma Puran slogan. So what does when someone comes in contact with Krishna, what does it happen? Many places we have seen, they become purified, right? So Krishna acting as a best wishing friend, he purifies the devotee who constantly engages in hearing of him. Okay, next process. Already purification is done, right? Then done, everything is done. No, the slokas go on. This set of slokas is very important. We can see one day separately also. After purification, something else is also there. What is that? He there only develops his jnana, transcendental knowledge, which is dormant in him. If you remember, Prabhupada, in one of the purports in Bhagavatam, I guess, he says, wood is having fire, right? But how that wood can be converted into fire? By contact with fire. So that is what is called dormant. Dormant is something in a sleep mode, actually. You want to see in any other, actually, in TV, everything the sleep mode has come. So it is sleeping, actually. Your knowledge is already there. Nothing like you go to Himalaya, sit there and some energy came from outside. Nothing. Everything is in you, actually. But the only thing is that small ignition is required, that's all. Many places, right, I have this experience myself. In the mornings, self-start will not work. What is the problem? Ignition is not happening properly. Then we use kickers, actually, right? Why? Because when we use the kicker, the ignition will be automatic, faster, actually. Sometimes battery will be dull and all of these things, right? So what ignition is required? So we have this dormant knowledge in ourselves, but the small ignition is required, which is the contact with Krishna and his devotees. Okay. Okay. After dormant knowledge becomes what? He stops hearing? No. Prabhupada says, hears more. What is the actual benefit of hearing? Hearing more. In the old ads are there. Pepsi ad, I guess. They had a tagline, right? A dil mange more. Correct? What does it mean actually in Hindi? Dil means heart, right? So once you drink it, your heart needs more, correct? That is what a dil mange more. So similarly, when you hear, what does the heart says? Or what does the thing says? It says hear more. Okay. What is the benefit where we can hear? Actually, again, from book Bhagavatam or person Bhagavatam. Okay. More hearing gives us what? It makes us to fix in. That is what in the sloka purport. We are actually rephrasing whatever Prabhupada is saying into a purport. Okay. What does he say? Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam. Okay. Sthitam Satve Prasidati. Chetayeter Anavidyam Sthitam Satve Prasidati. He becomes fixed in his spot. Okay. Do you know who is he actually, that picture? Yeah, many a time I was thinking that it is Haridas Thakur. Whenever Haridas Thakur's photo was required, even in net also misguides it. It is not Haridas Thakur. It is not Haridas Thakur. It is the widow actually, that lady, right? That prostitute who shaves her head. This was a revelation recently which came to him. This is the widow, that prostitute who donated everything to others and shaved her head and then started chanting. This is what will happen actually. When you hear more, what did Haridas Thakur did actually? Nothing. He was chanting. He asked, Mataji, you sit here. I want to complete chanting. One day she came. Second day also she chat. And then third day, she was about to leave. And then, no, you are cheating me. And then he said, see, I have made a vow to my Guru Maharaj, who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I would chant around 3 lakh names, right? 3 lakh names. Today I can complete. To complete this, what you can do? You also start chanting with me. What did he do actually? The first day, this is explained better in a drama actually, which is done in Tamil. First day itself, he would have left actually from that cave. But what happened is that Paramatma in him said, don't leave her, give her bhakti. So then only he thought, okay, let us first purify. This is the process actually. Shravanam is the first thing. You cannot directly go and do ask a person chant. No, you cannot actually. You have to invite to a program, give him a prasad, give him a lecture, nice kirtan. The actual knowledge comes through ear only, not even by eyes. Knowledge comes from ears because it doesn't have any lids actually. You cannot close this, right? Unless you close it externally. But if you want to close your eyes, you can. So externally only you can close it. So that is the advantage we have with ear. Okay. Becomes fixed in devotional service. And then what happens? After fixing, as here it is said, Bhagavat Tata Rajas Tamo Bhava Kamaloba Tayasi. So 3 modes of nature that is gone, freed from passion and ignorance. And then material lust and avarice are diminished. That is also gone. The problem is passion and ignorance. Okay, that can also go slightly, right? If you can analyze yourself, self-evaluation, if you do. Prabhu, I was actually having some 80% of anger before coming to Bhakti. Now it is slightly okay, Prabhu, it is some 40%. Half the anger is done. But the problem is it is not completely gone, right? It is not completely gone. But once we start hearing, then only it will go. Okay. Not only passion and ignorance will go off. What else will go off? The next point is material lust will go off. Okay. After this, as we know, right, every time material world we say Suddha Sattva. Why do we say Sattva? It is like saying, you bring me a cold ice cream. Do we say that? Nowadays we can say that a hot coffee we can say, because they have a alternate. They have a cold coffee, which is a new variant, right? But we don't say you bring me a cold ice cream. Ice cream in itself will be cold, right? Then why the qualification is required to say Suddha Sattva? Because in material world, Sattva Guna is always contaminated by Rajas and Tamas. That is why we say, once you are away from the modes of passion and ignorance, then only we can remain in the position of pure goodness. Okay. Once you are situated in pure goodness, which is you are doing bhakti, then your bhakti enlivens. That is like, how many of you went to any falls and then had your bath there? Falls. So you are bathing daily in your bathroom. and you go to a falls and take your bath. Do you feel any difference there? Freshness, right? This enlivening is something like the freshness of bhakti could be felt. You are doing bhakti these many days also, but by hearing more, nothing else. Prabhupada says nothing else you have to do. You have to do only one thing, hear. Attentive hearing is the only key for success. Okay. Then only we will know the signs of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay. After this only what happens? Vidyate Hridaya Granthi. That Hridaya Granthi is there, right? Due to so many lives, we have created a tight knot with ourselves and our body first. And then with this body, we think everything related with this body is mine. Correct? Aham mameti. I am, and then whatever mine. That is what say, right? What does this slow go about? Sayeva Gokara. Yashatma Buddhi. Yashatma Buddhi Kunape Tridatuke. Swadik Kalatra Disha Bauma Yujyati. Yatirtha Buddhi Salilena Karhichit Janeshu Abhigneshu Sayeva Gokara. Whoever thinks that body is made up of three dhatus and this is me, then he is a Gokara. And then the second point he says, Yashatma Buddhi Kunape Tridatuke. Swadik Kalatra Dishu Bauma Yujyati. Whatever is connected to me, my wife, my children, these are only my relationships. He is also Gokaran. Kunape Tridatake Kalatradishu Bhauma Yudhyati. Where the land in which I have born is very worshipable. We say, right? If you go to a person who is nationalist in India and you ask him, who is our enemy? Why? This is the immediate answer he will say. Who is your enemy? To a nationalist, Indian nationalist, you go and ask him, who is your enemy? Why? Huh? The only point is that he has broken away from your country and he is practicing a different religion than you. And there is a massacre which happened during that time. There are a load of train of Hindus who is being massacred and sent to us. Correct? And they are occupying our land. They are occupying my land. They are in my land. I have born in this land. Okay, our next life you will be born as a Pakistani. What will you do that time? So Shastra says, Bauma Yujyati, then you are Gokara. How does this knowledge comes? This is actually formed as a hard knot in our heart. It is very hard knot actually. It is not easy. That is why Krishna says, finally, at the final stage, Asamshayam Samagram. Asamshayam is without doubt, Samagram is fullness. Right? So without any doubt, if you can accept me as the absolute truth of Supreme Personality of Godhead, then everything becomes Asamshayam Samagram Mam. Then Yadagnyashashi Tachruni. You can actually hear from me about this. Okay, the last two slides about what is the qualifications to hear. There should be a qualification, right? Even for hearing. Only one qualification is said. 9.1. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Itam Guhyatamam Pravakshyami Anasuyave Jnanam Vijnana Sahitam Yajnatva Mokshase Subhat. There is only one qualification which is required. What is that qualification? Anasuya. Do you know Anasuya? Yeah, I mean the person Anasuya. Do you know Anasuya? Who is Anasuya? Atri Muni's wife. Why she is called Anasuya? Anybody knows? She doesn't have envy. Envy. Asuya is envy. Porama. Envy is Asuya. So she doesn't have Asuya. That is why she is called Anasuya. So the only qualification we need for hearing is that we should not envy Krishna. That's all. Krishna says here, Idam te guhyatamam pravakshyami anasuya. I am saying this to you. This is not simple knowledge, okay? He says, this is Jnanam Vijnana Sahitam. We say, right, actually, whoever has attended the seminar, we know that there is 3 types of secrets. Guhyam, which is secret. Guhyataram, which is more secret. The last one is that Guhyotamam. Guhyotamam, which is called nothing but Guhyotamam, is the most confidential knowledge. That is why it is called Raja Vidya, Raja Guhyam. Even king of secrecy, actually. Why? See, this is so much elevated. I'm saying this to you, Arjuna. Krishna says, right? Idam Guhyatamam Pravakshami Anasuyavi. Why I am saying this? You are also Anasuya. So what qualification we need? That too, at least we should be envious of Krishna, right? First, and then we should be non-envious of. I mean, we should be non-envious of Krishna and non-envious of devotees also. I shall impart this. Okay. By this, what is the benefit I get? He says, Yajnatva. After knowing this, moksha se shubha. This will relieve you from the miseries of material existence. Okay. Final slide of this discussion is about 9.2. Okay. Okay, he is giving a knowledge. I am Anasuya. I am non-envious of Krishna. What is the quality of knowledge he gives, right? We should know how much qualitative that knowledge is. So he says, in 7.2 also you can go back and see. Okay, now we are in 9.2. Raja Vidya, first thing. This is king of education. And then Raja Guhyam, king of secrets, most secret of all secrets. Pavitram, we know Pavitram, what is pure. Idam means this Uttamam. Uttamam is elevated, right? Pratyaksha. This is the very nice point of this actually. You can see for yourself. Self-realization, they say, right? You ask anybody to self-realization to all these new age gurus who are outside the Vaishnava Sampradayas. You go ask them what is self-realization. You cannot know it, they say first, right? You realize, that's all. But before realizing or during the course of it, you cannot know. But here Krishna says, in this process, if you are there, this is pratyaksha vagamam, direct perception. You can directly see what you are doing. See, you compare your material life, prior, that is what I say, BKC and AKC. They say BC and AD, right? Before Krishna consciousness, you compare that life with after Krishna consciousness. You yourself can see what and all has happened. Nobody is needed. In Tamil, we say it, Kaipunu Kannadi and Teval. If you have some wound in your hand, right? There is nobody who wants to bring you a mirror and show, see, you have a wound here. You know, you can see, correct? So, Pratyaksha Vagamam Dharmyam. It is the perfection of knowledge, religion. Susukam. This is where I say many a times to devotees, Prabhu, bhakti is very disturbing. It is giving me problems. Krishna says it should be done very joyfully, it should be executed. Then either you are not understanding what bhakti is, or you are doing something else as bhakti. That is the problem. You are doing something else and you are claiming that this is bhakti. No, that is not the case, Krishna says. Okay. And it should be performed joyfully and avyayam. Avyayam is nobody can destroy this. It is everlasting. Nobody can destroy this. That is why Krishna says what? 2.40. If you are in this process and you leave your body without completing it 100%, then Krishna says you can continue in the next birth. Correct? Neha Vikramanashosti Pratyavayo na vidyate Swalpam Abhyasya Dharmasya Trayate Mahato Bayat. Correct? And then in 7.2, as a corollary to this one, okay, Krishna, you say that you hear from me. What is the advantage? If Arjuna is asking there, he says, Jnana Vijnanam Sahitam. No, 7.2, what is it actually? Jnanam te ham savijnanam idam vakshyam asheshataha ejnatva Neha bhuyona jnatavyam avashishyati. After hearing this from me, you don't have anything to hear. So Krishna gives as a nice guru. He says, see, I'm giving you completely. In Gokul Prabhu, I guess in one of the Japa seminars, they were enacting a drama, I guess. They were having this diamond, right? And they were using that to wash the cloths and to make these patties of cow dung. And then what do you understand with this? Yes, actually. We have so much valuable point actually, but we don't know. We think that diamond is also a rock because we don't have the knowledge of diamond, right? Similarly, we are having knowledge or bhakti in our hand without knowing how much powerful is it. It can cure all your diseases. Material. Okay, but what we say, Prabhu, I am chanting Hare Krishna, but I have so many problems. Don't worry. Then I say to devotees, then our karma is going off, right? Somehow or the other it should go off. What we think, right, after coming to bhakti, everything should go off. No, it will not work out like that. It is better actually. I would say an example, two examples I will say and conclude actually. We have Aragar, right? What is his initiator name? Aragas Simha, something, right? Some Simha. His father, he broke his hip there actually back. What happened? He was actually maintaining cows in Goshala. And a cow or bull came and then it hit him and his back is broken. Now he cannot walk properly also, I know. I know how he was previously. He was actually selling everything what he had, t-shirts to snacks to everything he was selling in the local train that time. But after going there, he is doing bhakti. He has given his daughter in marriage to a devotee. His son was a brahmachari and he is now, even though he is not staying in ashram, he is a devotee, initiated devotee. So that much is enough. So what we say, I mean, he himself also will say, karma being in devotee association has exhibited itself in a different way. If you are not in bhakti, then it would have been very much drastic. As we say, right, for Arjuna in the war, what happened? Nagashra Karna gives, but Krishna, what he does is, it is about to hit Arjuna's head. He is actually slightly sat very heavily on his chariot. The chariot immersed in mud and then their height level decrease, right? So it has to hit in his head, but it has taken his throne. In Tamil, that is why we say famously, Talaikku vandu thalapavoda pochu. So that is what happens actually. Prabhupada, he himself shows the example, right? He was fastly cutting the vegetables and there was a cut in his finger. And he shows to the devotees, they are very new. Do you understand what this means? No, your hand is cut actually. Prabhupada, we will give some first aid. No, what do you understand by this? Krishna is giving a message. Nobody is answering. And Prabhupada said, today my head should have been cut off. But Krishna reduced this karma and gave it this very small cut. So that is what Kunti Maharani says, right? You are leaving us now because we are happy now. Oh, you will be with us only when we are sad or sorrowful or when problems are there. Then give us those problems and stay with us. So that is a devotee's point of view of how karma reacts to us. So I guess we understood what it is of hearing. So I conclude here. Any questions you can ask, otherwise we will conclude. Any specific questions? So my recommendation is that whenever you have time and you have some 1 or 2 hours for reading, we can actually read like this also. This is nothing but the purport. There are study circles and groups of devotees who are doing this on a regular basis. Weekends they are doing. On Saturdays from 10:30 to 1 or something like that, they are taking one sloka or a theme and then they are discussing. Everyone will contribute actually. It is not like one person giving lecture. Everyone will contribute. It will be that is what they say, study circle. Everyone can sit in a circle way, and then everyone will give their points and discuss. And then, as I said, right, I even didn't have notes of this. It immediately comes to your head. That is what Krishna gives you as knowledge, right? So when one devotee cannot give you a point, the other one will give actually. That is the advantage of being in association and reading also. So we are planning also, right, to read during weekends. Let us see how it all comes off. Okay. So no questions, then thank you very much. Hare Krishna. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भगवद गीता तारो की जय। जगत गुरु श्री प्रभुपाद की। वाचा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो। हरे कृष्ण।